We've got some water, but it's smelling pretty foul. That actually nearly made me throw up. Oh no, what the hell? Now I'm extra desperate for water. Doesn't that look fun? Come on, come on. Hey, we got one. Rubbing pretty vigorously. Nice little soapy lather. What we've got here is wombat berry. So it's actually not too bad. Well, okay guys, so back out in the beautiful Australian coastline this weekend for another bushcraft survival challenge. Now, being on the coast in the middle of summer, it is bloody hot and I'm already sweating bullets. So water is going to be our main priority, but also a pretty big issue because it hasn't rained for quite a while and things are looking pretty dry. And being on the coast, water can be pretty hard to source. So hopefully with enough skills and knowledge, I should be able to sort of find some water. But we'll get the backpack off, we'll go through the few essential items I brought with me. And then yeah, we'll go try and source some water, make a little bushcraft shelter to sleep the night in, do a bit of foraging around the bushland for some bush tucker, and with any luck, hopefully we'll be able to catch a fish out of the lake or something on the coast as well. So yeah, should be a good challenge. All right, so in the pack, on this side, we've just got a stainless steel water bottle, but there's no water in that. On this side, just got a bushcraft knife. Now I've got a small little prawn net, because you get prawns in the lake this time of year, so I thought I'd bring a prawn net and see if we can catch any. We've also just got a very simple sort of fishing setup, so it's got a hand reel, and then inside here just got just a selection of sort of hooks and some sinkers and a float. And I've also bought this little Fresnel lens, so you use this to sort of direct the sunbeam's rays to get the fire started. I will try and see if I can get the fire started and use like a bow drill or something, but if I can't find any suitable materials, I can always use this. And the front pouch, just got my first aid kit. In the top pocket, just got my sunnies. And then like a PLB. This is a Garmin GPS Map 66i, so it's a satellite communicator, so if things really get unstuck, I can always call for help. Now, that is just all my camera gear. Like there's a GoPro, there's like the mounts for the GoPro, there's extra batteries for the camera, a power bank. There is a little head torch in there as well, but yeah, that's pretty much just all my camera gear. And just got some boardies, because I was hoping to maybe jump off the rocks and see if I can find like an abalone or some sea urchins or something, but I'm pretty sure the swell is up, so I don't know if I'll be able to get in the ocean, unfortunately. I also bought just a down jacket. This is by Zerali. It's a pretty lightweight down jacket, because I didn't bring any quilt or anything for this trip, so hopefully this will keep me warm enough tonight. And we got some clear plastic bags, so if I can't find any water from like any swampy areas or any creeks, then this is how I can source some fresh water, which I'll show you guys in a bit how to do that. And then last but not least is just a little hand saw, and that is it. Well, being in the middle of summer, I've definitely got to keep my eye out for snakes, because this is prime snake territory, especially with like all this source sedge everywhere. You just get so many red bellies just hiding up amongst the grass and stuff, so yeah, definitely got to keep my eyes open this weekend. Alright, we've got a bit of a depression in the landscape here, which I'm sure would fill up with water when it rains. Obviously, yeah, there's no water now, so might have a quick little dig, just see if I can find like if there's any water sitting below the surface, but I'm not very hopeful. Looks pretty dry. Already it's really wet, but I can actually like squeeze some water out of it. Well, it's definitely very moist, like really moist. Feels like mud cake, to be honest. Oh, that smells pretty funky. Oh, that does not smell very nice. Yeah, it's really moist, but no water. I wonder if I just leave this hole for a little bit and see if any water fills up into it. Alright, so one good way to source fresh water is through the transpiration method. What that involves is using a really large clear plastic bag, and it has to be clear. You can't use a black plastic bag, otherwise it won't work. So basically just taking this and then placing it over the foliage and then sealing that off at the bottom, and then basically throughout the course of the day that sun is going to photosynthesize with the leaves and then create condensation inside the bag, that's all going to sort of form down the bottom and pool down in the corner. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a nice collection of fresh water, which is drinkable straight from the bag. Doesn't need to be boiled or anything like that. Now, a few good species that you can use this on, which are safe to drink, is any eucalypt species and any acacia species. I've also used G-bung as well in the past, and that was fine. Now, you also want to try and find a tree that has like really good northerly aspect. So this is a perfect spot because we're facing north, and there's no tree canopies in front of us that's going to block the sun for quite a few hours. So we should be able to get a decent yield out of this. Although it is about 1 o'clock, it's a little bit later than I would like to start. Obviously, you want to try and do this like first thing in the morning to try and get that entire day's worth of sunlight, but we still should have probably about sunsets around about 8 o'clock or so. So hopefully we'll have around about 7 hours worth of sunlight. So let's pop this on and see how we go. It's a good idea just to give the tree a shake, just to get any bugs off. Just got some paracord in my pocket, so I'll just use this to tie off the base of the bag. So as you can see, I've tied up the base just to trap any condensation from escaping, and already just after like a minute or two, see all that condensation forming on the bag. So keen to see how this does. We've got some good trees here, quite a lot of foliage on it as well, so grab the other bag and give this one a go. I managed to fit more leaves into this bag, so I'm interested to see whether this one yields more water than the one over there. So yeah, it gets a lot of sunlight here. Like it pretty much gets all day sunlight, so probably right up until about, I don't know, maybe 7:30 or something. So yeah, we'll see how we go. All right, so I've just come back to this one after finishing that other one, and man, look at all that water. That is so good. It's like beating onto the bag. Oh, you little ripper. Well, she's doing a thing. Look at it all starting to drip down. Nice. Man, my mouth is watering so bad right now. I'm so keen for a drink, but I think I've got to wait a few more hours. All right, well, I've left this hole for quite a while now just to see if any water would seep in, but unfortunately it hasn't. I just tried to dig a little bit deeper, and it's really wet and it just stinks pretty bad, eh? Like it's got a pretty foul smell to it. So I might just give up on that for now. Just go for a bit more of a wander around and see if we can find water anywhere else. Alright, now obviously the lake is salt water, or like at least brackish water, so you can't drink it. But we have this little creek coming in here, and it's sort of like coming out of sort of like this low-lying sort of swampy area. So I'm wondering if there's still sort of any fresh water sort of like sitting on top of that salt water. So I might try and dig down a little bit here and see if we have any luck. Got some water, you guys can see that, but it's smelling pretty foul. Oh, definitely doesn't have the best smell to it. Now I wonder if it's salt or fresh. Oh, it smells pretty terrible. Alright, now I wonder if we can just let that settle for a bit. I can see all the water streaming in just there. Might be fresh, eh? We'll just let that fill up and we'll see if we can have a little taste test. Alright, let's give it a taste. Oh. That tastes just like it smelled. That is foul. Oh, it's just the smell of that. I can't quite tell if it's salty or fresh. I don't want to leave my mouth long enough to sort of really tell. Let's give it one more go. Oh, that made me wrench. Oh, chap. That actually nearly made me throw up. Oh, no good. Definitely no good. Man, I've tasted some bad water in my time, but I think that is up there with probably the worst day. That was absolutely foul. Foul. And one thing I love about doing these little challenges is like, just makes you appreciate how easy we have it in like modern society. Like the fact that you can just go to your tap and just turn it on and get drinking water. Man, that's like too easy, eh? What do we got here? Old school. What's that? Tooheys Draft. The old beer cans. Man, that is retro. When did they stop making these cans? I think like back in the late 80s or maybe 90s or something. These Tooheys Draft cans are so cool. I've actually got one at home on the mantelpiece. I love these like old retro beer cans. It's pretty rad. Alright, so I'm just following this little game trail I just found. There's lots of like kangaroo scat and little footprints and stuff, so it's heading towards like the swampy area, so I'm hoping that it might lead to fresh water. And man, it's getting so hot. My mouth is already starting to feel very parched. And it's only been like, yeah, what, a few hours without a drink of water. Just goes to show how quickly like being out in the sun can just like take it out of you. Man, it seems so bloody sketchy. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. It's just like knee-high grass, very dense foliage. Just seems like Snake City, eh? I don't even know if there's water around here. I'm just kind of guessing. Oh man, she is getting hot. Not quite sure what to do. Like, I could try and push on, but like it looks like I just ate a fly. Yeah, it looks like pretty horrible stuff to try and push through. You know, I don't want to sort of exhaust myself if there is just no water up there, so hard to tell. It's all like very flat around here, so yeah, tricky. Usually when you're trying to find water along the coast, you're always looking for little gullies in between the hills and stuff, and usually you can find water around there, but around here there's you have to go for a pretty decent walk to find the nearest gully, so my mouth is getting really dry. I think what I might do, I might actually head back towards the coast, because around the coast is it's all rocky, and quite often you get drips of water coming through the rock, so I feel like that might be my best bet. What the hell? Oh no. You're joking. That stick must have fell off that tree and went straight through the top of the bag. You are kidding me. What are the chances of that? How much water have we got? Not much. Alright, so I just realised I've got some of this Luco tape in my first aid kit, so I might try and use this to patch the hole. Alright, well it's not great, but hopefully it'll do the job. I honestly can't believe that happened. What are the chances of that stick falling and just going straight through the bag? Out of all the places that stick could have landed, it's insane. So yeah, now I'm extra desperate for water. I'm really hoping around the rock I might be able to find some. Alright, well I think we found some fresh water. It's not much, but it's literally all I can find. Just these few little drips in here. There's some just there and some coming up off there. So what I'll do, I'll just put my bottle there and just let that fill up. Oh, my mouth is so keen for it. I can't believe how dry it is only after a few hours. We're pretty stoked. We've got this little water source here. I didn't know this was here. I have been here before. You guys might recognize it from a previous video. So I have collected water here before, but I didn't really want to sort of rely on it for this video. I wanted to try and find the water around the lake's edge, like whether it's via digging or the transpiration bag, and I will definitely get some water through the transpiration bag. It won't be heaps, but it will be a little bit. But yeah, it just goes to show like how quickly the water dries up around the lake. Like I dug in multiple spots and just couldn't really come across any water, so it's good to see that like around the sort of cliff lines you can sort of find pretty reliable fresh water. Alright, so it's been here for I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so. Oh wow, that is almost full. You're kidding. That's so good for like 20 minutes. And look how clear that is. Oh, I am so stoked. That works so well. All right, let's have a drink. Now, I'm not gonna bother sort of boiling it because I feel pretty safe in this kind of water source. I don't think there's anything really to worry about. Let's give it a go. Wow, that tastes so good. Tastes a little bit earthy, which I expect coming out of a rock. But oh man, that tastes, honestly, water is just so underrated sometimes. Alright, we'll pop it back. We'll come back in another half an hour or so. Alright, well, while we're sitting here waiting for that to fill up, I'll just show you guys some bush tucker around the area. Pretty much everything you see here is bush tucker. So right next to me here you've got beech mustard. So this is a weed. I think it originates in maybe Europe or America. I can't quite remember. But yeah, it's got the leaves are edible, and it kind of looks like a little rocket leaf, and it's got quite a sort of spicy rocket flavour. Kind of like wasabi, slightly sort of wasabi flavour. Quite interesting. It's got these little delicate white flowers which help to identify it, and this stuff has just established itself all over the New South Wales coast, so you find this stuff everywhere. Like I said, it's a weed, so feel free to go to town on it and try and eat as much as you can. It'd be really good in like salads and things like that. Pretty much all this stuff is like really good for salads. And so behind us, I'm sure you guys recognise this. This is called coast pennywort, or I think also called large leaf pennywort. I think there's a bunch of names for it, but I think this is from like, I think it's from like sort of like the Mexico region, or like bottom of USA or something like that. So once again, this is a really invasive weed. I think it's like one of our most invasive weeds, particularly on like the coast and around sort of wetland areas. This stuff just takes over. It's like a really, yeah, pretty serious weed, but it's got quite a nice little flavour to it. Kind of maybe like slightly like a cucumber. Yeah, that's probably how I'd best describe it. Once again, I think it'd be really nice in salads and stuff. And then this one behind me, which is one of my favourite bush tuckers, this is a pig face. Now, unfortunately, it's not in fruit. It should be in fruit, like it is the fruiting season for it, but this particular patch doesn't have any fruit on it. I'll go for a bit of a wander later, or maybe tomorrow, and see if we can find some that's got some fruit on it. But yeah, the fruit is absolutely delicious. It tastes like a little salty kiwi fruit, and then also the leaves are edible as well. Really juicy. Once again, pretty salty. That one's quite salty. But yeah, traditionally Aboriginal people would use the leaves for like sort of skin irritants. Like if you're burnt or you got like an insect bite, they sort of rub the juice over the burn or the bite, and it helps to relieve it. So absolutely delicious. Like the fruit is honestly one of the best bush tuckers going around. But yeah, that's just a few that's just growing around here. It's really interesting, like once you sort of get to know bush tucker, just like what you realise is edible and what's not. So yeah, anyway, that water's probably about done now. So we'll grab that, we'll make a move. Well, I think it's fair to say there definitely won't be any rock fishing done this trip. The swell is pumping. Well, I'm trying to find some bait around the rocks, like limpets or even crabs, but I can't see anything. Like, it's a really high tide at the moment, and with this big swell, it's just covering the entire rock shelf. So the only things I can find are like these little small periwinkles, and I don't really know if they're any good bait. So yeah, bit of a shame. I wanted to try and get some limpets. So yeah, as I was saying, it's too much swell, too high tide. I think I may as well make my way back to the lake and get camp set up, and hopefully I can find some bait like around the land. let's see how this rip bag one's going. Looks like the tape didn't hold. Yeah, it's not really much water down there. It's a tiny amount. It's like not even a mouthful. Bit of a shame. Let's go check the other one. So how's this one going? Once again, not much. I reckon that's probably, I don't know, maybe 200 mils, something like that. So yeah, not as good as I was expecting. I thought I was going to get a lot more than that. Although this tree has lost the sun now. Well, lucky I found that water source near the rock, because if that's all I had tonight, I would be struggling. But in terms of shelter, I'm actually thinking this log might do. So if I get some sticks and just basically make a little lean-to off the back of that, I reckon it should get me through the night. And I might even use the plastic bags and then stuff them full of like dry leaves or basically anything I can find. I think I did see a fallen tree over there that I could probably get the leaves off and stuff them in the bag and use that as a bit of a mattress. Now the only issue around this area is just snakes. Like, I don't even want to know how many snakes are going to be slithering around here after dark, but we'll give it a go and hopefully make it through the night. Yeah, sweet. I think I should do the job. It's actually quite nice laying on this grass. It's nice and soft. Alright, so yeah, it's not exactly waterproof, but it should do the job for tonight. We're not expecting any rain tonight, so I'm not worried about that. The whole purpose of making a little shelter is just to have somewhere to sort of lay my head down and give me sort of like a sense of camp, because otherwise I'd just be laying down on the grass here. So it should do the job for tonight. But if I was going to make a bit more of a waterproof shelter, there are a few ways you could do it. So if you went with this sort of like stick method like this, you could then, like if you have a lot of leaf litter lying around the area, you could collect that in big lumps and throw that on the back until you kind of get a nice thick layer of leaf litter. And that will sort of like run some rain off. Although you do get a lot of insects sort of falling on you throughout the night, I've found. I've done that before and it wasn't the best. But if you're going to make like more of a permanent or sort of proper waterproof shelter, what you would do is sort of basically not do this kind of stick method. You basically create a frame, so you'd have like sort of a stick at the end and sort of a stick like probably every foot in, and then you'd have like a cross beam going across it, sort of like every foot up it. And you sort of lash that all together, and then basically you try and find whatever vegetation is in plentiful supply in the area, because you're going to need quite a lot of vegetation. And around here you could use the saw sedge, because there's quite a lot of that, and that's a pretty good material to sort of shed the water. So what you'd do is you'd cut off at the base, and you sort of have like a big clump of the grass, which is about that long, and then the cross beams that are going across it, you basically just bend the end over that cross beam and then tie it together, and then you have like the grass hanging down, and you just continue that along, and then with the next row you sort of have that like overlapped it, and you continue that and you just keep working your way up. But it's a very time consuming process. That'll take you all day, whereas at least this is like knocked up in about an hour. A few other materials in the area you could use would be like the cabbage tree palm. That'd be pretty good. You could also use the bark from trees, like the Bangalore trees around here, which you could use, and paper bark's really good as well. So it really depends, like whatever your area you're in, you just got to try and utilize like whatever material is in plentiful supply, because like I said, you're going to need quite a lot of it. But for tonight, this should do the job. Oh, the sun's sort of dipped behind those trees now, so it's about time we take this off. Let's see how much water we got. Yeah, so that's how much water we got. Not heaps, but a few mouthfuls. Let's get the leaves out. So yeah, there's our yield. Looks like around about maybe 300 or 400 mils. And it's 6:30 now, and we put that up I think around about 1 o'clock. So it's around about 5.5 hours worth of transpiration, and yeah, not a bad job. Just goes to show, like, if you had a few bags of these and you put them up first thing in the morning, you get a pretty decent amount of water, I reckon. Now you can use the same tree more than once, so you could probably use it 2 or 3 times from what I understand. But you wouldn't want to sort of do it probably more than that. You kind of want to let that tree recover and then move on to the next tree. So anyway, let's chuck in the bottle, see how it tastes. Well, it's definitely not as clear as the water from the cliff line. There's a fair bit of particles floating around. Let's give it a go. Obviously this is mixed in with the the water from the cliff, but see how it tastes. Huh. It's actually got a flavour to it. Interesting. Here's that leaf. It's actually quite nice. I feel like it's actually made, because the water from the cliff line had not a bad taste, but it had like quite a mineral sort of taste. Whereas this is kind of like a eucalypt taste, which is actually quite nice. Well, there you go. That was a cool little experiment. Now I'll go check the other bag, but I don't think there's much in that. Alright, well there really isn't much in that one at all. Probably only about like 100 mils or less. Fair bit of sediment, so I might, since the bag's already stuffed, I'll just pop a little hole in it and just, yeah, pour it in here. I'll get rid of some of these sticks. Alright, so we've got ourselves a bag of leaves, which I'm pretty sure is mostly sticks. I tried to get the sticks out, but it's almost impossible. So I don't know how comfy it's going to be. I honestly feel like just sleeping on this grass is probably going to be way comfier, but what I'll do is I'll pop some of this, like half of this, into that bag, so it gives me a little bit of insulation from the ground, but I don't think it's going to be that cold tonight, so I'm not really too worried about that. But yeah, we'll try it out, see how it goes. If I absolutely hate it, I can just sleep in the grass. Doesn't that look fun? Let's give it a go. Oh, I'm so sweaty. Oh. Look, I don't think it's going to be the best night's sleep I've ever had, but it should do the job for one night. But yeah, the sun's just about to set. I'm feeling so bloody dirty and clammy. I might go down to the lake and just try and freshen up a little bit and just sit down there for a bit. Like, I was contemplating whether I should get a fire going. I don't think I will bother, Like, I'm obviously not cooking up anything. I don't need to boil water. I've got nothing to cook up. It would purely be just to sit around, but by the time that sun sets, I think I'm gonna just absolutely pass out in that shelter. So how about we go sit by the water for a bit, and then yeah, we'll call it a night. What a beautiful sunset. It is such a gorgeous night. Not a cloud in the sky. Heaps of mullet jumping out as well. There's always so much mullet in this lake, but I can never catch them, eh? Like, I've heard you're meant to use a really small hook with like some bread, but yeah, I've never had any luck. And yeah, like, what do they eat naturally? Like, apart from bread, because obviously you can't find much bread in the bush. So if I was to try and fish for them now, like, what would I use? Like, are they sort of like eating flies off the surface like trout? Like, from what I've read, like, they're not. I don't really know why they jump out of the water. So yeah, any of you guys who fish for mullet, feel free to let me know your tips, because I'd love to try and catch them. There's so many in this lake, but like I said, like, I just don't know what kind of bait to use. So feel free to let me know. All right, so a few times I've been to this lake before, and I've actually just dragged my hands through the sand. I've actually found the prawns just sitting underneath the sand. I first time we figured that out, me and a few mates were like, what the hell? Did not expect them just to be sitting underneath the surface. So I'll give that a go. Well, as it starts to get a bit darker, I'll get the flashlight out and see if I can see any swimming around. If I can, I might try and get the net out and have a go, but I haven't really got like I said, I haven't got a fire started, so I can't really cook them up. I don't know whether you can eat prawns raw, but it'd be cool to try and catch them if I can. Alright, so I'm just going to make my own prawn net. So I've just got a wire stick, it's got the prawn net, and we'll just tie it to it. Well, there we go. That should do the job. Now let's hope there's some prawns out there. Some of you guys can see that, but there's a prawn right there, but he is tiny. I don't even reckon he'll stay in the net. No, he's went straight through the net. Well, we're not having much luck. Haven't really seen a whole lot, and the ones I have seen have been pretty small. I think I can see a half decent sized one. There he is, come on, come on. Hey, we got one. Still pretty small though. See two down there. Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Come on, come on. Yes, got him. Well, we got two in the bag. A couple more. We can have ourselves a shrimp cocktail. All right, well, I think I might head back. I caught two, but then they somehow got out of my net. So I'm going back empty-handed, and yeah, there's really not much happening. There's heaps of small ones, but nothing really worth keeping. So let's call it a night. All right, well, now I've got to try and find my way back in the dark, which is going to be easier said than done. I'm pretty deep into the bush there, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to find it again. Just heard a few noises in the bush over there. I think there might be kangaroos. At least I hope they're kangaroos. I swear this is the start of like every horror movie. One dude alone walking through the bush at night. Here we go. We found it. Let's hope no snakes moved in while I'm gone. Let's check under this. Oh God, I thought that was a snake. It's just I thought that was the head of a red belly. No snake. Oh, big grasshopper there. Now that would be good bait, especially if there was trout around. No snakes. That's a good start. All right, well, home sweet home, and already I'm just being mauled alive by the mozzies, so I think it's going to be a very long and interesting night. I kind of wish I had a fire going now, just so I could actually sort of see what I'm doing, and yeah, just to have some smoke to try and keep the mozzies at bay. But yeah, such is life. Oh, I'm just being crawled all over. So anyway, wish me luck, guys. I'll catch you guys in the morning. Well, good morning. Now, that actually wasn't the worst sleep I've ever had. Like, it wasn't the best sleep, especially considering I'm sleeping on a bunch of sticks. I probably could have done a better job of getting rid of all the sticks, but it actually wasn't, yeah, surprisingly too bad. Like, I wasn't really that cold. Like, especially coming through the ground, I didn't really feel like any sort of heat being sucked away from me. So this actually did a really good job of insulating me. I was a little bit cold on top, not heaps cold, but a little bit. It did get pretty chilly last night. Woke up to a fair bit of dew on the ground this morning, but like there's no dew on me and none on this bag or anything. So these yeah, sticks actually did a pretty decent job of keeping the dew away, which is good. And no snakes, which is always a bonus. There was a little family of kangaroos over there when I first woke up, which is pretty cool to wake up to, but yeah, all in all, actually pretty surprisingly not a bad night's sleep. I only woke up a few times, so I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Well guys, I've got some pretty exciting news I can finally share with you all. So it turns out I'm going to be a dad. crazy. But yeah, Laura found out she was pregnant at the end of last year, and she's due at the end of July, and we're going to be having a little boy, which we are so bloody excited for. Honestly, I can't even describe how excited we are. It's been a pretty tough road. I haven't really sort of shared too much about it, but yeah, we've been trying for the last sort of 2 or 2.5 years, and just things weren't really sort of going the way we wanted them to, and we ended up sort of going down the IVF route. And after a few miscarriages with that, we actually fell pregnant like the natural way, the good old-fashioned way. Like, honestly, we were so bloody surprised. Like, I came home from a trip down to the Snowies, and I walked in the door at like 8 o'clock at night, and Laura had the little stick out on the table, and it just blew me away, eh? Like, I literally thought she was playing a joke on me, because like we hadn't had any IVF transfers before that. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, it's happened the good old-fashioned way, babe. And I was like, you are joking. So yeah, pretty amazing. Laura's like, she's been, like I said, we were sort of going down the IVF route for about a year, and like it just wasn't working. And she ended up going to see a fertility, a big magpie, a fertility nutritionist, and she like completely changed like what we're sort of eating, and gave Laura sort of all these like vitamins and supplements to start taking, and we started cutting out like heaps of like toxins that are sort of like just in our products. Like, you'd be surprised how many like products you use, like stuff you put in your skin and just things you eat, that how many nasties some of that stuff has. So we sort of like cut out a lot of that things, and sure enough, after like a couple of months, ended up falling pregnant naturally, which was honestly such a surprise. Man, it's honestly like probably one of the most special feelings I've ever had. Like, when I walked in that door and found out, it just, I don't think I'll ever forget that experience. It was really quite special. But yeah, it's been a pretty tough year, like going through all that, and like Laura's been an absolute trooper. She's been really strong through it all, but there's obviously times where it's sort of like really gotten down. It's never nice to see your missus go through that kind of pain. So the fact that we've got this result is just, it's such a bloody blessing, eh? We're so stoked. Last year was a particularly sort of tough year for me, especially like around the time when I went to Tassie last year. I just remember that trip was like a pretty powerful trip. Obviously, like, just the trip in itself was amazing, but just being out there by yourself, like not seeing anyone for 5 days, and just being there with your own thoughts. Like, the bush is a pretty powerful teacher and therapist, and it definitely gives you time to sort of like process what's going on in your life. And yeah, it was a pretty tough year, but I'm glad we got through it. And even just thinking about it now, it's sort of like bringing up some of those emotions. But I wasn't quite sure whether I sort of wanted to talk about this on camera, sort of like just going through that kind of stuff. But I know there's other people out there who are probably going through pretty similar circumstances. So I think it's good to sort of share your experiences and just know that you're sort of like not alone out there. And you guys want to chat to me about things, if you guys are going through a pretty similar circumstance, feel free to jump on into my DMs, and I'm more than happy to chat to anyone about it, because I know what it's like to go through that kind of stuff. So anyway, not trying to get myself a bit of upset, but yeah, it's really exciting times. So keen to sort of get the bloke out on these trips, like really keen to sort of pass on my knowledge and have a little bloke run around me out in the bush. It's going to be a really special time, and yeah, we're so bloody stoked for it. So yeah, not quite sure what the end of this year is going to be like in terms of trips. I'll try and get out here as much as I can, but I think obviously for the first few months it might be a bit tricky. But Laura's an absolute legend, and she knows how much I love doing this stuff, so she'll definitely sort of like let me get out there probably every 3 weeks or something like that. So yeah, really exciting times ahead. Can't bloody wait, and yeah, definitely going to be a wild ride. Alright, so all the sediment from the transpiration bag has finally sunk to the bottom. There's a fair bit in there. It looks pretty foul, like that was just floating around in it yesterday. I'm not quite sure what the sediment would be, because like I said, that's just straight from the leaves. So it's obviously something on top of the leaves, maybe like dust or dirt or something. But anyway, I got some good drinking water there. I'll have some of this, and I think we might pack up camp. We'll make our way over to the coast and see if we can collect a bit more water, and then we'll have a look for some bush tucker. Oh, it's a bit of a shame we didn't really need the fire last night to cook up anything, but I'll still show you guys how to use a Fresnel lens to get the fire going. Alright, so I've got some dry grass here. I've also got some dead leaf bases from the saw sedge, because this is a lot more fibrous, and this should take a light a little bit easier than that, I would say. So I'm just going to rough this up a little bit. Now it's got the Fresnel lens. We just want to try and direct that sunlight right onto that tinder. It's all about trying to find that sweet spot. So we've already got some smoke. Almost. There we go. Just need a little bit of oxygen. Nice. Alright, so here we've got a saw sedge, or Garnia is its scientific name. Now you can find this plant, it's pretty widespread over Australia, especially along the east coast. There's quite a few different varieties of it. And yeah, it's a pretty good bush tucker plant, it's got quite a lot of uses to it. So first off, the reason it gets its name saw sedge is because the leaves are like razor blades. Like if you go one way they're fine, but as soon as you go back the other way, they can give you a pretty nasty cut. And like Indigenous folks would actually use the leaves of this to sort of cut up like meat and things like that. So that's one of its uses. Also, the leaf bases, like a lot of the mat rushes and the grasses, are actually edible. So if you just pull out, there you go, came out pretty easy. Just one of the leaves, it's got a white portion which is actually edible. Now, you can actually sort of like dig around and pull out a big clump of it, and then it kind of looks like a bit of a leek, and you can kind of slice that up into sort of like little rings, and you can add that to like a stir fry and give it a bit of flavour. And another bit of bush tucker for this as well is you got some seeds up here. So it's actually in seed at the moment. They're these little sort of orangey red seeds, and as they start to darken, they mature, and you can actually get them and grind them up and make a flour from them. It makes it like a bit of a damper. A few other uses as well is like the dead leaf bases. They call the dead leaves. You can actually make a really good tinder out of that. You can also make cordage from this plant as well. And I believe the Indigenous folks would also used to make like sort of rafts or canoe out of these. They basically just get like a big pile of it and sort of bundle it up, and you can kind of make like a bit of a raft. So yeah, it's a pretty useful little plant, this one. But being in sort of a swampy area, you also got to be pretty careful with snakes, because snakes can easily hide out around the base of them. Alright, so here we've got the spiny headed mat rush, or lemon longifolia. Now, I've shown you guys this a bunch of times before, but for those who haven't seen this plant, it's got pretty similar properties to the saw sedge. So once again, the leaf bases are edible. You've got a nice white portion which you can eat. That one actually tastes pretty good. A lot more flavour than the saw sedge. Kind of tastes like peas. Once again, you can make cordage from the leaves. You can also make like a dilly bag or other things. Once again, with the dry leaf bases around the bottom, you can actually rough that up and make like a tinder, which is a really good tinder for fire starting. Shoots up sort of like a seeds, like like a flower spike with all seeds on it. And when the seeds are sort of like immature, they're kind of like a greeny yellowy colour. You can actually just eat the seeds raw, and they've got a pretty nice nutty flavour. But once they mature and harden, you can then grind that up and make a flour out of it. So once again, a pretty useful plant. So this little shrub here is called a rough fruit pittosporum. You can actually use the leaves to make a little bush soap, which I'll show you guys how to do. Alright, so you just want to take a little handful of leaves, and the leaves contain a saponin. So this is similar to some of the acacia species that also create like a bush soap. Though the acacias are usually a little bit better than the pittosporums, but you can still get a sort of soapy lather form with the pittosporum. So just add a little bit of water, and then just start rubbing pretty vigorously. Actually, that one's pretty good. And so yeah, as you can see, you got a nice little soapy lather. Definitely a nice little way to freshen up when you're out in the bush. Alright, so here's another one of my favourite bush tucker, and this is called warrigal greens, or I like to call it bush spinach. And you basically find it in these kind of like swampy areas around lakes and lagoons and stuff, and yeah, it's quite a, you can get some really big leaves on them, and it's quite a fleshy leaf. It's feels kind of leathery, but yeah, you can just eat that raw. They do recommend sort of blanching it in water because it does have high oxalates in it, like just like any other spinach, but you can eat a small amount raw. Alright, so here we've got a 5-leaf native grapevine. Unfortunately, this isn't in fruit because it's one of my favourite bush tucker plants, but yeah, it's a little bit too early in the season, unfortunately. Although there's another variety of native grape, and that is actually in fruit at the moment. Because I know around home that's fruiting, but unfortunately this one isn't just yet. But yeah, I find this one probably has the nicest fruit out of the native grapes. It still is a little bit astringent, but yeah, it's quite a tasty fruit, so it's definitely one to sort of keep your eye out for. You always find these native grapes like in these sort of gullies. They can actually sort of grow pretty prolific and actually sort of take over like all the trees and the shrubs, so they're an easy one to spot. Alright, so what we've got here is wombat berry. So it's a vine that tends to grow over the top of like other shrubs, so you can sometimes find it on the ground as well. But yeah, it produces these little brightly sort of yellow orange fruit. We just pick one off. Inside it, let's break that open. It's just got little black seeds in there as well. Now you can eat the flesh. It's actually not too bad. It doesn't have heaps of flavour to it, but it's slightly sweet. It's kind of got like the texture of like an apple, or like a lily pilly. Yeah, not too bad. The vine's also quite strong, so I believe you can use the vine for like bindings and things like that as well. Alright, so what we've got here is a burrowang or a cycad. Now this is classed as a bush tucker. As you can see down here, it grows these big sort of pineapple-like fruit, although they are highly toxic. So apparently to make them edible, Aboriginal people would sort of pound the fruit, and then I believe they would leach it in water for like a week or so, and then they would roast the fruit after that, to make it edible. But like I said, it's a very intensive process that we don't really have a whole lot of knowledge about, so it's definitely not recommended to try it because the toxins inside that fruit can apparently cause liver damage and nerve damage as well. So definitely one to stay away from, but it is such a beautiful plant. It's very prehistoric, and when you see it growing in these sort of spotted gum forests, it's yeah, really quite a sight to see. Alright, let's fill up some water. My mouth is like so dry. It feels so sticky. Water is life. Oh, it is so good. I'm never going to take water for granted ever again. I didn't before, but definitely won't now. I just went for a quick little dip in the lake, and bloody hell, that felt good. I've just been searching the sand dunes to see if I could find any fruit from the pig face, but unfortunately no luck. So I think on that note, I think we might bail and get out of here. It's after lunchtime, got to get home, got work tomorrow. We'd love to have stayed another day and done a bit more fishing, but like I said, unfortunately got to go back to work. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little challenge. Pretty keen to try and do a bit more of an extended challenge in the future, like maybe like a 4 or 5 day one. So yeah, stick around for that. But yeah, if you guys are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed already, I would absolutely love it if you guys would consider it. I want to try and crack that sort of 200,000 mark by the end of the year, so that'll be a big help. But yeah, anyway guys, till next time, hooroo.
Okay.
Cheers.
I don't know, there's a lot of ice here. Just right into the middle of it.
Wow.
Oh!
Did you say it was me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we got a baby walkabout's coming.
Wow.
A little microscope.
I don't have any boy names picked out.
Oh,
brother?